Hello there. Welcome back to the channel. You want a movie review? Is that what you feel we need next? I agree. So let's Ringu in the new year with the 1990s J-horror classic Ringu, otherwise known as Ring, remade in the late 90s in America as The Ring. This one is from director Hideo Nakata. I can't remember the year it came out. It's on the screen now. It is based off of this book, which is just called Ring, from author Koji Suzuki, which I have read and found it to be a very good book. I've even read its sequel, but we're not talking about that yet. For those who have no idea what this is about, the plot involves a reporter who is tracking down a cursed videotape that if you watch it, you die 7 days later. She unfortunately comes to the knowledge that this tape is very, very real, and she's got 7 days to figure out how not to die. The big question I'm sure you're all asking is, MH, comparing the book and the movie, how faithful of an adaptation are we talking? Shockingly very. The book goes into a lot more detail on aspects. The book actually paints Sadako, the villainous ghost girl, who has become mixed with the Ring girl, has become the cliche image of J-horror ghost. Despite the fact Japanese ghosts have a way wider variety than just long dark hair, white dress, but that's a talk for another day. The book kind of paints her in a little more of a sympathetic light. I mean, it still treats her as a, she's still the evil and the villain that's, killing people, but it comes with more of a, you understand the situation that kind of put her in the position of being an evil, vengeful ghost, but still an evil, vengeful ghost that you don't want to deal with. The movie kind of skips out on some of that and just gets to, no, she's just a villain ghost girl. Which, for speeding through, is probably a good move. As I've talked about before, sympathy villains are neat on occasion. They don't need to be everything. So the movie taking the stripped down approach to Sadako of, no, she's just evil. She's Japanese Lady Michael Myers. In fact, she might even be part Lovecraftian horror. We're not answering that. The acting performances are pretty good. The movie is, I would make the argument, very 90s, but the way Japan's tech level is, they've been the 90s kind of since the early 80s and even up until now, kind of proving Agent Smith's point from The Matrix that the late 90s was the peak of human civilization. In fact, The Matrix is an interesting comparison because the end credit music to this movie, which has had a very standard spooky score when it's there to just simple score when it's there, slips into full-on 90s techno. Could have been a good Matrix shootout scene for end credit music, which doesn't match the movie at all. I mean, even in the slightest. To me, that was the most dated aspect of, it's the 90s. Maybe this is just my nostalgia because I grew up in the 90s, but the 90s feels like a timeless time, where like you could kind of put anything with that aesthetic and it just feels, I mean, that's probably everybody's childhood time, feels timeless, but actually that's going to be a question for the comments today. Does the 90s feel timeless for you? Whether you grew up in it or not, does it feel timeless? Let me know in the comments below. Alright, big question time. MH, Ringu, it's J-horror. Is it scary? Not really. It's creepy. It leaves you with an eerie vibe. Sadako's eventual appearance at the end is iconic and creepy. Really, that's to me is the big difference between the American version and the Japanese version, and why I kind of prefer the Japanese take on it. The American version, everything is geared up to be not quite jump scareable, but you know how at haunted house attractions and Halloween events, everything is meant to be scary. It's all set up in a scary way to elicit fear and scary vibes. That's what the American stuff feels like. It's, oh, we're a horror movie. We should be scary. and it comes off as a little cheesy and a little phony. The Japanese version is just, no, this is just what it is. They're just ghosts present. The same way that Zoomers and everybody talk about liminal spaces and just a vibe of creepy, that's how this runs. It's less jump scary in your face and more, no, there's a feeling that you're in danger. And you don't know where that danger is coming from, but you feel it. Everything looks just a little off. The cabin and the main lead dude, whose name I can't remember, both of their spaces, yes, they look like apartments and a rental cabin, but there's something off about the furniture choices, the layout, the color. You can almost tie it back to, this is going to sound really crazy, but Japanese interpretation of German Expressionism. It's less surreal than German Expressionism, but it still doesn't feel completely correctly laid out. It doesn't feel like a set. It's not like Wes Anderson faux theatrical, but it's something feels off about it. That wall placement, why are there windows there? Even in looking at Japanese architecture, it has a almost Lynchian vibe to it. And that's what, to me, adds to the creep factor and makes it enjoyable. That's why it makes it stand out a little more than the American version, which is just, ooh, haunted house, creepy ghost girl, special effects, blah, blah, blah. Honestly, if you want to make a good comparison on two good comparisons on the differences between the American version and the Japanese version are the cursed tape and Sadako's arrival to the main male dude at the end of the movie. Spoiler alert for the book, the movie doesn't really go into it, but what you eventually find out about the creepy cursed video is, in the book, Sadako is pushed down a well, presumed dead. Turns out she doesn't die for quite some time. But she eventually, in her death, pushes all of her rage and angry memories out psychically, which directly above the well was the TV in this rental apartment, or rental cabin, and a VCR with a blank tape in it. And her visual thoughts are captured on the tape. That's why they're so chaotic. In fact, one of the neat details to it is there's these constant blackout frames that they take a long time in the book trying to figure out what are these weird blackouts are, that people cutting information. And they eventually realize, oh no, this is blinking. We're looking at angles that we shouldn't be able to see. Oh, even the movie covers a moment of, there's an angle that we shouldn't be able to detect. We should see a camera person. And they never come back or explain it, but it's because it's a memory from Sadako, not something being filmed, which is a neat touch. The American version, it's all creepy image. Spooky, spooky, spooky. Creepy, creepy, creepy. High, rapid cutting Michael Bay editing. Spooky, spooky imagery. Is it creepy, spooky, spooky imagery? And it comes off as cheese. And I don't even think they explain where that tape comes from anyway. It's just, oh, spooky. Nothing against Gore Verbinski, who directed it. He might have even written the screenplay. I can't remember. I'll look it up. The answer to it is now. Did Gore Verbinski write the remake of The Ring? Okay, got the answer. No shade toward him. It was a tough task of redoing something from another country. You gotta, how do you take something that is very, very Japanese and make it American? The Grudge does a slightly better job in that because it keeps it in Japan, but even that does some kind of oddball things, but we're not talking about that. The second scene of illustrating the difference is the main male character when he's killed by Sadako at the end. In the Japanese version, crawling out of the well and coming to the TV and passing through the TV and then stalking him through the house is handled in a slower, less flashy way. Even the effect of her coming through the TV, you can tell there is some sort of effect work happening, but you're not sure in what way. It just comes off as eerie. The fact that he's so horrified by it that he can't just turn around and run to the door and get out plays off in a almost like he's held in a trance sort of way. Her slow, methodical, I'm just following you to the house because, buddy, you ain't going nowhere, is handled in the American version by water coming out of the TV, her coming out dripping, and her static coated throughout it, where she's kind of glitching out, where she suddenly appears further into the house by TV static glitches. All to have her go from the iconic just her eye in the Japanese version peeking through the hair to monster face, which is way less scary than just creepy eye. Fun fact about that, the creepy eye is a dude, not the actress who was playing Sadako. They thought that having a male eye for this female character would add to a more uncanny valley type thing, which if you've read the book, you understand the aspect of that. But if you didn't read the book, it's just creepy. The one aspect of the American version that I will give is a little bit of superiority over the Japanese version. Everybody who's seen the American version, you know what the scariest shot in that movie is. You know what it's a cut to, it's a jump scare. You know what it is. The closet. They do the same thing in the Japanese version. It's scarier in the American version. That is the one positive I'll give the American version. But the Japanese version is very good in its own little way. I understand why it was the kickoff to a Japanese horror revival in Japan. I see why it was a kickoff to, hey look, more ghost stuff. White dress, long dark hair, ghost girls, creepy. Although, kind of like the superhero genre here, that burned itself out real fast and created a lot of good stuff, but a lot of ugh in there as well. Either way, I'm glad I did a rewatch because the Ringu is a very good movie. Would I hold it up as one of my favorite J-horror movies? I mean, it's not dethroning House. It's certainly scarier than House, but it's not something that I would run to for like heavy rewatches, but I would definitely watch it again in the next couple years. I definitely want to show it to some people who've never seen it because I think they'd enjoy it, but the pace is a little slow. It's not miserably slow, but it takes its time in some spots, which is impressive because, as I said, for the most part, it beat for beats the book, but condenses some things in probably efficient ways, I would say. I don't feel there's anything in the book that I was like, oh, I'm sad they cut that. It works fine for what it is. I'm excited to watch its sequel. Anyway, that's Ringu. This has been me reviewing a movie. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm MH Smith. Keep it wabi-sabi, y'all.